Hello, you're watching Middle East Matters with me, Haxie Meyers-Belkin. My guests today are both peace activists, one Israeli, one Palestinian. While events since the 7th of October 2023 have pushed most Israelis and Palestinians further away from each other than ever before, Maoz, Inon and Aziz Abu Sarah say they've become like brothers. The story of their extraordinary friendship, the devastating losses that brought them together, and the deep optimism they have in peace between Israelis and Palestinians are recounted in their book. Released today in the UK, The Future is Peace, a shared journey across the Holy Land. Maoz, Inon, Aziz Abu Sarah, it's great to have you both with us today on our programme. And congratulations on the publication of your book. Aziz, Maoz, in many ways, you lived parallel lives before you met. You both ran travel agencies. You believed in the power of travel to bring people together. How did the two of you first meet?
Hi, Haxie. It's great to be with you in your show. We met briefly about 10 years ago in a hostel I co-founded and opened in Jerusalem, the Abraham Hostel. And on October 7th, I lost both my parents. They were among the first victims of the Hamas attack. I lost many of my childhood friends, neighbors, people I knew my entire life. And only three days after, Aziz reached out to me, offering his condolences and saying that he's standing with me and with my family in this tragic moment. And it was literally like a hand reaching out and saving me from drowning into an ocean of sorrow and pain. And in the last 2.5 years, we've been working together, co-authored The Future is Peace, and now I'm very proud to say that, yes, I lost so many, including my parents, but I won Aziz. I won Aziz as a brother, and I cannot be thankful enough to Aziz for being there with me in the hardest time of my life.
And Aziz, what was it that compelled you to reach out in the aftermath of the 7th of October?
I have encountered loss myself. I lost my brother when I was 10 years old, who was tortured in an Israeli prison, which resulted in his death. And I understand the pain of losing somebody in your family. I understand how dark it is to be in that place. And when I was 10, nobody reached out to me. Also, when I was 10, I couldn't even comprehend the idea of peacemaking. It took me years until my life changed, and it was when I met my Hebrew teacher in an ulpan, which is where Jewish immigrants learn Hebrew, and she was the first Israeli to reach out, to treat me like a human being, not like the soldiers at checkpoints or settlers. And that has put me in this journey of peacemaking since I was 18 years old. And so I wanted to do that after in my life. I wanted to reach out to those who are in dark moments, regardless where they are, whether they are Israeli or Palestinian, whether they are like Maoz, who lost his parents, or like friends we meet in the book, like Patia, who also lost her grandchildren and daughter, or Abdurrahim in Gaza, who lost his almost entire family, 50 people in his family, or others like that. It's not about who's the victim and who's the perpetrator. We should reach out to each other when innocent people are suffering.
Aziz, you've written before that when you were younger, in the aftermath of your brother's death, you've written that the idea of revenge consumed you. So you know what it feels like to go from revenge to a place of understanding. How difficult was that journey for you? How long did it take? I'd like to know a bit more about that, Aziz.
Yeah, when somebody kills your brother, you know, the only thought you have, especially when you 10 years old, is vengeance, because you think you're a bad brother if you don't do that. If somebody kills your brother, your sister, anyone listening, how would you react to that? And so I was consumed by anger, by bitterness, by rage, by hate. I felt that revenge was the only option, and that was a full 8 years until I started understanding that those who killed my brother controlled me, that I was a slave to their action, and I was reacting to what they did instead of deciding which direction I want. And then I decided to transform my anger and my pain, instead of wanting to go after revenge, rather to transform it to make sure that nobody goes through what Maoz and I have gone through. And I think the powerful thing about empathy between Maoz and I is when I sent him a message about me giving condolences for his parents and standing with him, he responded by saying, "I'm crying for every child that's being killed in Gaza." And this was a few days after his parents were killed. And that's the level of empathy and activism that we need today, is that we stand with each other regardless. We stand with each other because we want this killing to stop.
I want to know how the two of you came up with this idea of an 8-day trip across Israel and also the Israeli-occupied West Bank, this trip that forms the basis of your book.
Yeah, because both Aziz and I are coming from the travel industry, we are both a tour guide, and we both traveled a lot across the world, and we know the impact a journey can create within you, but also with the people you meet along the way, and also the power that is within books, because both of us are also keen readers. So we want to combine the both together. So we are inviting the readers to join us on an 8 days shared journey. Each day is a chapter, and each chapter is taking place in a different location. And we are exploring 4 dimensions of time. We're exploring the mythology of the land, history, biblical stories. We go deeply within the 100 years of the conflict, both the Palestinian national movement and the Zionist movement. We share about our own personal loss, family stories from our family, our parents, Taisir, Aziz's brother, and we speak a lot about the future. And on those 8-day journey, we are transforming revenge into reconciliation, trauma into healing, and revenge into hope. And what we learn together along this journey, that hope is an action. Hope is not something you can lose. It's not something you can find, or it's something that someone else will give you. Hope is an action that we are creating together with others, Palestinians and Israelis, by envisioning a better future for both people and acting together in order to make this vision into a reality. And the future is peace is a manifestation, is modeling how this future would look like.
I want to know a little bit more about
I'll just add,
sorry, yeah, Aziz, please continue.
I'll only add a couple of things. One, this is how both of us have lived our lives. Like Maoz's travel work and my travel work with Majdi Tours was all about narratives. And in our tour in Majdi, we had usually 2 tour guides, an Israeli and a Palestinian, and in other places like Northern Ireland, a loyalist and a nationalist, and so on. So the idea of multi-narrative is something we both breathed. And even before the book, we've been talking, and we are establishing now a dual narrative exhibit and museum in Nazareth. So to us, this idea of working together and presenting multi-narratives at the same time, because it's not really just dual, it's not only my story and Maoz's story. We interview and we talk, not interview, we really tell the story, talk to so many other during the journey. So we bring so many narratives of people in the land and tell their stories.
You describe each side's instinct to see themselves as the true and unique victims in this conflict, trauma as a sort of identity badge that couldn't possibly be shared with the other side. Aziz, at one point you write very incisively about why some Palestinians find it hard to acknowledge the horror, for example, of the Holocaust. Can you tell us a bit more about that, please?
Yes, for many Palestinians, acknowledging the Holocaust is almost saying we accept what happened to us in 1948, the Nakba, we accept what Israel is doing to us today. And it goes back to this concept: if you empathize with the person you see as your enemy, then does that justify what they're doing to you? And it's absolutely not true. I got to see it firsthand myself. I thought in this way. When I was 18 years old, I didn't know anything about the Holocaust. And I decided to go to Yad Vashem, to the Holocaust Memorial in Jerusalem, so I can learn. And in the beginning, I had so much fear and I had so much doubt of how could I go there and what they would do to me. And maybe they don't want me to be there. But as soon as I walked in, everything changed. As you start seeing the suffering that people have gone through, then identities don't even matter. And this idea of they my enemy and they the other doesn't matter. And what really eventually becomes more important, instead of seeing ourselves as Israeli versus Palestinian, Jew versus Muslim or Christian, we start seeing each other based on our humanity. And we say it's those of us who believe in justice and equality and peace versus those who don't yet. And that's what happened to me when I went to Yad Vashem, realizing empathy makes us stronger, doesn't make us weaker. And empathy does not justify other crimes that are done against you. Me empathizing with Maoz and be with him and supporting him when his parents were killed does not make the killing of my brother acceptable, and vice versa. It actually makes us much stronger when we are together.
And I'm very intrigued to know how your friends, your family, your acquaintances have responded to your joint mission. Have people been fully supportive, enthused about your joint mission, or has it been a bit more nuanced than that? Have people found what you're doing difficult? I'd like to hear from you, Maoz.
So you will be surprised, but we are as supported and loved and as ever. It's our families also become together now, and on those 8-day journey, we met each other families. And my aunts, my father, sisters keep telling me every time they speak to me or sharing messages with me on WhatsApp, Maoz, please give a hug to Aziz. We're congratulating you for the path you have taken, and we are standing with you and behind you in this journey. And it's more and more people from the Palestinian people and the Israeli people, those who are skeptical, those who are without stop believing in peace, really coming along together and joining us, joining the Palestinian peace movement. And only in a week time from now, this time in Tel Aviv, we're going to have the third People Peace Summit. Last year it was in Jerusalem, and we are expecting thousands, maybe even more, Palestinian and Israelis to come together for a one-day event where we're going to demonstrate that the peace movement is growing, that the peace movement is gaining momentum. There are so many of us that believe in peace, that believe in reconciliation, and are committed to invest in this path for a better future for both people, for a shared future for both people.
And I know that you're spending a lot of time talking about your book, publicising your book internationally. I know that you both met Pope Francis. I think we can show our viewers a photograph of that moment. Do you ever feel that your work, your mission is being taken up very enthusiastically on the international stage and possibly less so at home, or is that not something that you've experienced?
It's both. I think international stage helps us being stronger also back at home. I mean, when we met with Pope Francis and we later also met with Pope Leo, that gave us so much strength back at home because people see us as leaders who are representing our grievances, who are representing our vision, who are bringing the cause of peacemaking to the entire world. And when we met Pope Francis, it wasn't just to meet and have a hug with him, which was the most powerful thing we ever experienced, the two of us, him hugging us and calling us brothers. But it was him also taking our demands to the G7 meeting literally few weeks later and getting the G7 for the first time to adopt in their communique word by word what we asked from Pope Francis, asking the support of peacemaking, the support of Israeli and Palestinian civil society who are working for peace and justice and equality. That happened through that meeting. So when we go back home and we say, look, we are able to achieve things through work of peacemaking. We are able to get Pope Francis on our side. We are able to get the G7 to change, at least in the words, their policies. And now we have to also push them to change their action. That's how peacemaking works. It's through diplomacy and through these meetings, and it gives us much more legitimacy back at home.
Now, throughout your book, you reiterate your admittedly ambitious goal of achieving Israel-Palestinian peace within the next 5 years. Why 5 years? And do you think that timeline is helpful, achievable?
Yes, we certainly do. Both of us are entrepreneurs and businessmen. And we know that without a goal, without a deadline, nothing will really happen. So this is why we set a peace by 2030. And also, based on the Israeli history, it usually takes 4 to 6 years from trauma, pain, war to achieve a lasting peace. And it was only 4 years after Yom Kippur War, October 73 war, that President Sadat of Egypt visited Jerusalem. 2 weeks before his arrival, the discourse within Israel was that 72% of the Jewish Israelis were against negotiation, not against peace accord, not against land swap, but against negotiation. And just after the war, Golda Meir, former prime minister, stated there will be no peace in our lifetime. And Moshe Dayan said, the Israeli war hero, said there will be, it's better to have Sinai Peninsula without peace than peace without Sinai Peninsula. And only 4 years after, when President Sadat is arriving to Israel, the children of Israel, and this is exactly the story Batya Segev, whom we meet on the first day of the journey in Kibbutz Niram, where I was born and raised, and lost her daughter and grandchildren and son-in-law, she still remembers this day. Because in this day, the children of Israel were waiting for Saadat in the main cities of Israel, waving two flags, the flag of Israel and the flag of Israel's biggest enemy till the day before of Egypt. And peace was achieved, and that's how we achieved our first secure and safe border with Egypt. So it shouldn't take more than that. We have a window of opportunity, but to achieve this opportunity, we must have international support. We must have the leadership of France, of the EU, of the G7s to support us, to endorse our effort, to endorse the civil society, both in Palestine and in Israel, to achieve a lasting peace and reconciliation. And this
Maoz,
is exactly
Inon.
where we are aiming.
Maoz, Inon, I'm so sorry, we have run out of time. I wish we could continue speaking. It's been wonderful to have you both on our show. Maoz, Inon, Aziz Abu Sarah, co-authors of The Future is Peace, a shared journey across the Holy Land. Thank you both very much indeed. That brings us to the end of this edition of Middle East Matters.